Good morning, everybody, and thanks for tuning in for another episode of Coffee with the Raptors. Um, so excited to have you here on our final episode of the series. I hope you've been enjoying this inside look at the Rocky Mountain Raptor program and the work that we do here. We have another wonderful episode planned for all of you, and I'm excited to share the things that have been going on around the facility and with our organization lately. First, I do, of course, want to thank our sponsor. Hey, it's right in the middle of my head. Platte River Power Authority. They have been helping provide the funding to make all of the episodes of Coffee with the Raptors happen. So thank you so much to them for their support and for their encouragement of our education. So let's see what's been going on in the world of the Rocky Mountain Raptor program. For starters, got my coffee. What are you drinking today? I am again drinking chai, so by now you know that's probably my favorite. Hopefully you've got something yummy and warm with you. We've got a bitterly, bitterly cold week coming up. Our rehab department is still a little on the quiet side. It's still winter, so not a ton of things going on, but enough to certainly keep them busy. Let's take a look at the report from our rehab director, Gail. So one release this past week, a great horned owl from right around Thanksgiving that came in with head and eye trauma and a fractured right wing was released. So super excited to see that bird go back out into the world. And we had 2 new admissions, putting us at 19 admits for the year. So we are ahead of where we were, again, still compared to last year. Those 2 admissions, we got a great horned owl from the Fort Collins area that is emaciated with head trauma and a pelvic fracture that is limiting the leg use. That bird is currently in our critical care unit. We also had another great horned owl all the way from Elk Mountain area in Wyoming with head trauma and emaciation that unfortunately died from those injuries. And that leaves us 23 patients in our house that we are currently caring for. A great horned, a bald eagle, a red-tailed hawk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 great horned owls. 1, 2 red-tailed hawks, and 8 immature Swanson hawks that are overwintering until this fall. So lots of things keeping them busy for sure, and they're starting to prep up for busy season with the spring. We did get our very first baby great horned owl call on our emergency phone this past weekend, and so that kind of breaks the floodgates, so they say, for those baby great horned owl calls to start coming in. And that's really where our busy season typically begins, is with those baby great horned owls, and then it just starts to snowball from there. So any day now, things are going to start picking up and start getting really busy for our rehab department. Let's check in with our patient that we've been following, great horned owl 21273. Here's his admit photo in our critical care unit. This bird came to us with trauma to the left shoulder, hence that wing bandage you can see there. This bird is doing wonderfully and working towards release. He's been relocated out to a large flight enclosure to practice flying and rebuild strength and mobility, and is getting up to the high perches, flying with great strength, landing well, great silent flight, just like owls should have. That wing is being held really well, nice and symmetrical to the right wing, which is exactly what we want to see. And this bird has been through his first round of live prey testing. This is something that we do with most of our patients, where in the case of a great horned owl, we'll use rats. Smaller birds, we might use mice, but we put live rodents in the enclosure with that bird so that they can practice their hunting skills and prove to us that they have the skills that are necessary for them to be successful in the wild. And he was very successful in hunting his rats and catching them in the first round of live prey testing. takes a break for a couple of days, and then has just started the second round. And so we really want to make sure that those skills are solid before that bird goes on to release. But at this point, release is probable. We never can guarantee that something unusual or unexpected might not happen, but at this point we are quite hopeful that this guy will be leaving us very, very soon. And so we're always excited to know that these individuals are getting back out into the world. So stay tuned, and we hope to be able to say goodbye to this guy pretty soon here. Our education department has been starting to pick up a little bit. We've had some programs scheduled and presented in the last couple of weeks. We went to a pre-K, a nature pre-K school in Loveland this past week, and we have a program coming up in just a couple of days where we're actually headed out to a STEM school to help them explore a problem-based learning unit on endangered species. And so they're looking specifically at burrowing owls, and we're going to bring out some of our birds to talk about the connections between burrowing owls and prairie dogs and golden eagles and ferruginous hawks, and how prairie dogs are such an important keystone species in our environment and in the prairie habitat, and give the students some information to build their activities and their solutions to the problem for that unit. So I'm really excited to get out there. That's our environmental education at its finest, and so I'm really excited for this particular program. And then, of course, the big thing that we have going on right now is our gala. It's just this Saturday, so where are we? We are 6 days away from our 29th annual gala dinner benefit auction, which will be held both virtually and in person. We will be in person at the Fort Collins Hilton. We have plenty of tickets still available, so you have until tomorrow, Monday, to buy your ticket to join us for the in-person event. biddingforgood.com/RMRP. That's where you can go to buy your tickets. That's where you can go to get registered to bid on all of the wonderful items that we have up for bid. There's about 160 items that we have up on that bidding site. Bidding for most of the items is currently open. Our general catalog bidding is open. Premier items, extravaganza eggs, and our live auction items will go available for bidding later this week. But they're up there for preview, so you can take a look, see what's available, and decide what wonderful Raptor-themed merchandise or service or trip you might be interested in bidding on and supporting the work that we do here at the RMRP. We will also be live streaming this event right here on our YouTube channel, Saturday the 29th of February, starting at 5 p.m. So join us here to watch the event, and we will also be able to do Karen Avila, our executive director, is hosting what did she call it? A virtual table, where if you wish to bid on the live items, but you're viewing from home, you can register for this virtual table and basically bid through Karen, who will be in the room, and she'll raise her hand on your behalf to make a bid on those items. So that's a way that you can bid if you are not able to join us in person. So that's definitely coming up. We're super excited about it and really looking forward to having this great event. So hoping all of you will join us for that on Saturday. As we're putting that event together, a lot of our volunteers have been tapped to help us make it happen, either boxing up items and getting them ready to be shipped out to the winners, helping at the event with setting up, handling the ambassadors there, helping interact with the guests who are going to be joining us, helping us manage and run our live stream and our videography. We have a wonderful team of volunteers that are helping us out with that event, while still continuing to help us out with our day-to-day work here around our facility. And these people are just the backbone of what we do. And throughout this series, you've had an opportunity to meet many of the different individuals from staff and partner organizations, as well as at least one of our volunteers, who are the people that really help make this such a rich, such a robust organization and contribute to the success of so many releases. 75% of our treatable cases returning back into the wild, and the network of conservation, the network of rescues that we've been able to establish, volunteers and partners are critical to that. And so today, on our final episode, we do have another one of our wonderful volunteers joining us from our rehabilitation team. I'd like to welcome into our studio two friends. We have first here joining me is one of our ambassadors, which we'll get a chance to meet in a second. And then joining me as well is our volunteer, Ed. Come on in, take a seat. Hi, Ed.
Good morning.
Thanks for being on.
Thank you.
Cheers. You forgot your coffee.
Cheers. I already had mine. Left
Okay.
it at home. Didn't want to spill it on camera.
Generally a good choice. So Ed, you've been a volunteer with the Raptor program for quite a while. When did you start?
Yeah, I actually started at a gala event in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. You were just telling me about that. That was actually even before you started volunteering.
Right.
You came out and helped us put that event on.
Exactly.
And then when did you start volunteering then?
So I believe it was in April of 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just after the gala, not too long.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
And what kind of things have you done as a volunteer? I know you've been involved in several parts of the organization.
Yeah, my experience has been pretty rich. I've been on the roofs of the different enclosures, helping repair those.
Mm-hmm.
I've been at some education exhibits with an education ambassador on my wrist.
Right.
I've been able to rescue birds and release birds and help with their treatment, and so it feels like I've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah. I know you've been one of the volunteers that we often call on, and we're like, we need help, let's call Ed. And you have been a big help in so many of the things that we've done in the last years around here. And now you're working primarily with the rehabilitation department, right?
That's right.
And what inspired you to want to come and work with the organization?
I have seen the Rocky Mountain Raptor program or programs like it around the state of Colorado for decades. And I would go to exhibits and I would see people there with a hawk, an eagle, or an owl, and came away every time I would see it. I just thought, wow, that is the coolest thing on the planet. They're doing such good work. I was just inspired. So that's what made me want to do it. And then when my wife and I moved to Fort Collins in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
I saw that they were having an exhibit at one of the local nurseries. And I said, hey, let's go down and check that out. I think it might be kind of fun. And we did. And again, I was enthralled and thought it was the greatest thing on the planet. And then I asked where they were located. And they said, oh, about 5 minutes from here. I said, wow, you need volunteers. So it just kind of fell in my lap.
That was, a lot of the volunteers, and I think most of the staff found out about the program in a real similar way, coming across the birds out in the public somewhere. And so that's a really big reason why we do so much of the outreach and the public events that we do, is really trying to connect with people and hopefully, like we had success with you, get them involved in the program. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so on the rehab department, you've gotten to work with a lot of different species, a lot of different types of injuries, and I imagine had a pretty broad variety of experiences. Do you have a favorite patient or a favorite story that you'd like to share?
Well, my favorite patient is whoever I'm working with at the time, because what my job tends to be is to catch and restrain one of those injured raptors, while somebody else is administering whatever medically needs to be done with that, whether or not that be injecting fluids or giving some sort of an injection of medicine for inflammation or something like that. And my job is to make sure that the raptor's safe and that they're safe. So can't let anybody get taloned, can't let anybody get hurt.
Yeah.
I need to walk away from that better than we started. So that's my favorite bird.
Yeah.
Is the one I'm working with. My favorite my favorite story of the last year is that in June or in April of 2016, I was asked to go down on I-25 near the Centera exit, which is a very, very busy area, to take a look at a great horned owl that had been reported on the ground. And as I made my way out to the right of way of the highway, and I saw the bird, I just remember being struck with the fact, and I could see that the bird was moving, and so we had some kind of opportunity there. I was just struck by the fact that, how can anything survive being struck by a car going 75 or more miles an hour
Right.
through that area?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. And this bird was dragging a wing, and I wanted to be really careful about how we handled it. But I was able to kind of herd it off to the side and into an adjacent field where we could work with one another. And that bird had a broken wing and some head trauma, but it did make it through the first 3 or 4 days in the critical care section and survived. And then in June of the same year, I got to go out and participate with the release of that bird. And that moment where the bird is released back into freedom for that second chance at freedom is one that's it's just inspiring. And so I'm just really grateful to be able to participate in that.
It's a wonderful feeling. I don't get very much interaction with the patients because I'm so busy working with the outreach and the education, but every so often I have been asked to participate, and the most recent one I got to do was the turkey vulture that we released here on our property, I want to say last year, and our rehab associate came to me and she said, "Come here, I want you to come do this," and they handed me the bird. And I walked outside, took a moment, released that bird. I'd known it for a grand total of 15 to 30 seconds. And just to watch that bird fly away made me cry. But you get to spend even more time with them because you see them through that process, through the progression of rehabilitation, from broken and injured and in pain to being healthy and strong and returning back out into the world. And I can't imagine how powerful that's got to be, to get to know that you're part of that.
Yeah, it is. It rocks my world. It's very cool to be involved with. And it's just the neatest thing that I can think of.
It's a wonderful thing. Yeah. So you were talking about that great horned owl that was hit by a car. And as we talk about the patients that we see come into our hospital, we're always talking about the types of injuries that they sustain. And our records and our history really shows that being hit by cars is the number one reason why they come to our hospital. And the interstates, of course, those are very dangerous places for the birds to be. And we hope and, of course, aim to get most of them, as many as we possibly can, back out into the world. We do have a friend here that I wanted to introduce you to. She's been a little nervous, a little antsy this morning, hence the not quite sitting still. But this is a Swanson's hawk. And Ed, I think you've gotten to work with this individual bird at some point when you were participating in the volunteering with the education team. And I think you told me she's one of the ones you really liked to work with. And you may, those of you who are watching, you may have gotten to see this lady out and about in the public before. Let's go a little closer on her. This is a Swanson's hawk, And as she looks around the room, you may notice, if she looks back at the camera, she is actually missing her left eye. She was hit by a car pretty hard in the left side of her head, damaging both that eye and that ear, leaving her blind and deaf on her left side. Our handler, Loween, here is trying to help her focus in on the camera and stay on the glove so that you all get a chance to see her. She's feeling a bit nervous today, it seems, about being in our studio. I don't think she's been in here for a while, so she's just making sure everything's all safe. Unfortunately, with the loss of that eye and the loss of her hearing, this beautiful Swanson hawk cannot return to the wild, and so she does stay with us as one of our ambassadors. She is now our eldest Swanson's hawk. She is 26, 25 years old, right about there. So quite an elderly lady, and but she's still in great health and still very happy to go out and do things with our program. So we always like to share our ambassadors and give you a chance to see some of these wonderful birds that we work with up close, because I know our stories are interesting. I know you like hearing from us, but I also know that we are absolutely no competition whatsoever for these birds. That's the best part of what we do. So just a chance for you all to share her. Ed, you've gotten to release a variety of different individuals. You mentioned that great horned owl that you rescued and then was able to see as a release. What else? Can you tell me some of the other variety of birds you've known or been able to help with the releases of?
Yes, yes. Everything from a pygmy owl, which is about as big as your fist, to American kestrels and great horned owls and red-tailed hawks, and last fall even a golden eagle, who I can't even spread my arms, my fingers as far as her wingspan was. It was just
Big female.
big and astonishing. Yeah. So lots of different birds. One of my favorite releases of memory is with the kestrels, or I'm sorry, with the Swanson's hawks, which in September of each year, the hawks that we've overwintered, because they were not well enough to make their migration journey in the fall, they stay with us for a year, and then the following September, assuming that they've demonstrated their good flight conditioning and they're able to make that trip, we're able to take them as a group out onto the Great Plains and group them up with wild Swanson's hawks, so that they can form kettles and make that migration to Argentina. 6,000 plus mile trip.
Right.
That's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Just crazy, yeah. But they group up and they do it every year, and so at that particular time, those in this coming September, we'll have at least 8 that we currently are overwintering that we're going to be able to release, and that's always a thrill to see so many birds go out at the same time.
It is. It's fun. We sometimes refer to it as the jailbreak because they're all leaving all at once. And I've gotten to participate in a couple of those, and you just see them all go out and find the big group, and it's fun to see so many return to the wild at once.
Yeah, it is.
So with your experience, with your history, and your knowledge of the challenges that raptors face out in the world, if you had one piece of advice to offer to the people watching or to people that you got a chance to talk to about the work that you do, what might you say?
I would say, if you see an injured animal, and I'm obviously much more familiar with injured raptors, but if you see an injured animal and you have the opportunity to call a professional to check in as to whether or not there's something that ought to be done, do it as soon as you can, because I was involved with the release of a great horned owl last week. It was one of the ones that you mentioned early on in the program, in the rehabilitation activities.
The one that got released that came in around Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It came in Thanksgiving, and the reporting party, the person who told us about that owl, did so really early on after they saw it. And that owl came in, and it had a broken wing bone, and it also basically could not function in its left eye. And if it had been out there, and it had already been on the ground for quite a while, probably because it was also emaciated. So,
Right.
but by getting in here soon enough, that owl was able to heal its broken wing, recover the sight in that eye, and it was even so serious that there was also some thought for a while that that eye was going to have to be removed. But it wasn't, and that bird recovered and it was released. So 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 don't be that person who wonders and thinks, well, maybe they'll make it on their own. If they're in particular, if there's a raptor on the ground and they can't fly, they can't make it up, make the effort to call and get that information as soon as you can to somebody that's an expert at dealing with animal rehabilitation, because it provides a much greater opportunity for them to be able to survive in the long run.
Just like when humans are hurt, the sooner you get to professional help, the better and faster that recovery is going to be. And that's what we're here to do. So, well, thanks, Ed. It's been fun hearing about some of your experiences and what you enjoy at the Raptor program. It's been nice having you here with us today. For all of you watching, we are still needing, of course, to celebrate our Gold Star Raptor of the Week. And so this week, our Gold Star goes to our educational ambassador, Eastern Screech Owl. You can see him here sitting in his little travel box. But that this little owl went to the pre-K program that we had in the past week. And this was the very first pre-K program he had ever done. And if you've ever spent any time with 3 or 4-year-olds, you know they are unpredictable, they can be noisy, they can be active, and so some of the birds are not comfortable being around that age group. But this guy did beautifully. He was just fine being around the kids. He was curious and watchful, but he was not frightened. He actually, when we got there, it was about a 30-minute drive to get there. He loves this little box that he's in there. He was sound asleep, and actually we had some trouble getting him out of his box to wake up and come meet the kids. But once he did, he was a great example for them to get to learn about owls from. So gold star to him for being so comfortable and tolerant of that younger age group, which means that I'll be able to take him in the future and help those younger kids get a chance to see these raptors up close and learn and appreciate them as they grow. So congratulations to him for this week's Gold Star. And thank you to all of you who've been watching throughout this series. We've had a wonderful time with sharing things from the inside, meeting volunteers, meeting collaborators and partners. It's been fun, and I am excited to see you all, hopefully, at the auction coming up on Saturday. Please remember to like and subscribe our YouTube channel so that as we move forward and create new content, new videos, new series, I haven't yet decided what's coming up next. If you have ideas, I want to hear them. If there's something you would like to learn about, send us a message on our Facebook page. Put a comment in the comment box here on this video of things that you might be interested in having us do, content you want to see, and I'd be delighted to create that for you. In the meantime, keep sharing your love of raptors. I hope that you continue to enjoy them out in the world. Spring is coming. They'll be back out and about, and the migrants will be returning soon. So keep your eyes open, and everybody have a wonderful week, and we'll see you soon.